Marriage is not easy. Life is generally easier when one is single. No need for long consultation before making decisions. No scares of broken hearts. No power tussle or power play of any kind to assert authority. No fear of being isolated. With marriage, even when you think you have done your very best, your spouse can creatively find a way to make you wrong. These are my views anyway. My twin sister had issues in her home and was pushed out by another woman who bewitched her husband. Having nowhere else to go, she came over to my place. My elder brother's place is off limits because he is currently dealing with his own marital storm. A moment, please. My place is the preferable calm abode. Maybe that is because my marriage is much younger in less than 2 years. Why are you coming with this much load? Oh yeah, tell me.
I will tell you everything.
Tell me, please, tell me.
Dear, you know what you're doing is not the right thing. Are you forgotten about our agreement?
Before marriage, my wife and I came to a decision that we won't allow anyone, be it family member or friend, tag along our marital crosses at any point in time. We kept to that decision. I never envisaged that our current situation might occur. Perhaps we both weren't being totally rational with the belief that our marriage could be a solitary island.
Wait a minute. Daniela! You have overstayed your welcome.
Tension arose between my sister and my wife, and within the first few days, there was an open confrontation between both women. Surprisingly, that disagreement resulted to my wife moving out of the home to only God knows where, at the end of the week, just like that. I tried my best to reconnect with her and convince her to come back home, but she kept rejecting my calls. I had to offload my sister somewhere else, one of our lady family friends, in order for my wife to return home from her almost 2 weeks absence, but to no avail. I don't know why my wife is behaving this way. I don't even know how near about. To make the matter worse, she's not picking my calls.
Daniel, to be sincere with you, there is nothing I or anybody in the family can do about this. We've tried convincing her to come back home, but she refused. And she's not disclosing her location to us too.
If I had known this,
But for what I gathered, she rented where she is.
I gathered from her sister that she rented an apartment for herself in an undisclosed location and isn't interested in coming home. It's gone too far. With my wife's whereabouts unknown, my urgent calls to her rejected, I am still living in isolation 2 months after.
Hello, viewers at home. You're welcome to another exciting time on Decisions. And I remain your host, Abigail Unutaram. Today, we want to talk about something very, 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 very important. Something very strong, something very significant. Isolated. You were wondering what that is. You imagine what that could be. That's why you have to stay back to learn what that is and how much you can learn from today's discussion. Today with me in the studio are two very seasoned guests. On my close left is Mr. Gbenga Olaifa. He's a relationship coach. Sir, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me, and good day, viewers at home.
Okay, and also on my far left is Dickness Alakba Joy. She is an educationist. I'm in the secondary school where Ma, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. And good day, viewers.
Yeah, good day, viewers. Okay, like I said before, isolated. We have an issue at hand of a couple that had made a very strong decision, and that brings me to the question I really want to ask. These days is much a must in pre-counseling, like pre-marriage classes. Do not allow a third person in your home. I want to know how much should this be taken. Okay, when do this relax so you cannot have it? There is a time.
Okay, thank you. Actually, there is no specific time set to it.
Okay.
Basically, the reason why such advices are given during premarital classes is to allow sufficient bonding, to allow flow of communication. You know, the husband, the wife, or the groom, the bride, they're just coming together in a biblical standard. They are not expected to have been living together before that period.
Yeah.
So they are expected to come together, learn a lot of things about themselves. All of this happen in the first years of marriage. That is the reason why such advices are given. And it depends on how well or how soon you can learn or you can understand your spouse. But basically, that is the essence of that advice. But I don't think there is any time set to it that, after 5 years, after 10 years, after 15 years, you can allow people to start living with you. I don't think there is any time set to it.
Okay, Miss Jack, I can see the way you're smiling. It's like there's so much more you want to add to
Well,
this.
Like he rightly said, there's no fixed time. Neither is anything that is said concerning marriage. None of it is cast on stones, so to say.
Okay.
Definitely, when couples come together for the very first time, there's always, you are supposed to leave them all to themselves so that they get to know each other a bit more. But as time goes on, with time, such laws will begin to relax.
Okay.
Especially when children start coming in and all that.
Okay. Okay. Well, in case of the issue we have at hand, they've decided not to have a third person. And let me put you on the spot because you're the one here. Your twin sister is at your door and you were in Daniel's shoes. What would you do?
Okay. At that point in time, I just don't have any choice. Of course, I welcome her in, make my wife understand the situation of things. However, what I would do is, by the second day, I'll start looking for alternatives. I'll start looking for where can she put up, at least for the time, if it requires getting an apartment for her. The essence of that is, yes, she is my sister, my twin sister. However, my wife is my wife. And I will do everything to ensure that I protect my marriage. Especially if I get to know, or I understand that the communication between the two of them is not that is quite rosy that much. I would want to protect my sister, but I also have to ensure that my marriage does not fail. So what I would do basically is, by the second or maybe third day, I would always try to get her to put her up somewhere, not to start living with us,
That's something that you said, and I want to draw attention to that. That means you should have been a very sensitive man. He said, particularly when I know that the communication between them is not so rosy, using your word. Ma, I want you to talk on that, because I think it's a function of the man's insensitivity. Like you said, not so rosy. It wasn't just then. They have been relationship before now. They've been relating before now. So, okay, these two persons get along very well. No, they don't hear. But I want you to talk more on that. What could he have done better? On my part, I think, when I was going through this, I saw the picture of Jesus giving the money bag to Judas. And that means a lot. I am of the opinion that if she was given, okay, she's a woman, if she was given the sole responsibility of masterminding the help, things would have been different. I don't know about you, and I want to hear from you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you're quite correct. Actually, where he got it wrong in the first place was for having, allowed her to come in and keeping silent while these things were going on. Like my partner rightly said, the first thing you would have done after the second day, you make moves and let the woman be seeing the moves.
Yes.
You keep, talking to her, yes, reminding her of your agreements. We've actually said this person will go, I've gone to do this, I've gone to do that. Then the woman will know, yes, things are actually going on. But for you to be silent and, maybe just going on, talking, whatever, not attending to the issue and attending to it on time has led to this problem. I think as human beings, we should be able to respect our, decisions, so to say. If we made a decision that nobody will stay with us, as soon as an issue comes in, it's the responsibility of the man who is the head of the home to begin to make moves. You don't have to wait till there's a problem before you make moves, and make the woman to realize that actually you are making moves, as to resolving the problem, because she has a problem in her home. She has also brought another problem to your home, and you have failed to realize that he has, introduced problem into your home.
I like something that you said. Okay, you want to say something, and let me add to whatever you want to say. She said, communicate. Men don't talk. They expect you to know what they are not saying. No, it's funny.
No, that's the truth.
They don't talk. Okay, fine. How do we know? Tell us, how do we know what you're saying?
Okay. Honestly, it would have been an entirely different situation.
Okay.
If, as Mommy had rightly said, if the husband had made some conscious moves and he had tried to communicate to the woman, to the wife, he had tried to carry her along that this is what I'm doing, and I'm doing it because I know we have an agreement.
Yeah.
Trust me, some women are very sensitive. Along the line, she could have said on him, it's no need, let her just be with us for the meantime. At that point in time, it is the wife of the man that has decided to take the woman in, and she would do everything to support her. But unfortunately, that never happened, and that was what led into everything, honestly. So that is what I felt the man would have done differently.
Okay, and there's another part of this. While I was doing my search on this, I saw managing in-laws and holidays. In-laws and holidays. But I want to talk more on that. Okay. In-laws and holidays. Sometimes it's not just for the intrusion in the home. Sometimes it covers economic expenses. Where you know what's the balance right now in the home. You know what's the money level, and then men don't see that. They want to be responsible for sometimes things I think they should not be responsible about. So as a woman, how do you balance that?
Okay. Well, first of all, as a woman, you have to know that in the first place we are in an African setting.
Okay.
You have to give yourself that peace, Yes, the African setting, definitely. When you marry a man, know that you are going to marry the brother, the sister, are equally your own too, because the ball is both ways. With time, your own too will want to come in, and So how do we manage it? First of all, and like they have said, we don't want people in our home, but people can come on holidays.
Okay.
People can visit. They can travel and pass the night. You give allowances for these things, but to a limit. Of course, if you know somebody is coming to spend just 3 days, if you as a man inform the woman of the home. If it's from your own side, you woman do the same thing. Just expand and make provisions for such things.
Yeah, we'll go on the break there. I like that. We'll come back to that word. Expand and make provision for such things. Okay, we're going to quick break right now, and we'll be back to continue this session. Please don't go anywhere. Hello viewers, you're welcome back. Okay, before we went on the short break, we were talking about something. We said the home and holidays. Okay, and she said something. She said make provision for the extended time, and actually cut her short. So I want her to go back to what she was saying and complete it.
Okay, that we need to make provisions for holidays, people coming in and going out of our homes. It's part of our lives. Even as Africans, there's always this rapport between us and our extended families, friends and all, So we have to make provisions that once in a while, people will come in. Someone could be passing and in the process want to spend the night, 2 or 3 days, Once the person informs us, thank God nowadays there are phones. In those days there were no phones. People could just bounce on you and say, I want to spend the night with you, and you have no choice, in an African setting. Unlike the European world where they will bounce you back. Right. We don't do that. We just have to accept you, whether we have food or not. Right. Whatever is before us, we eat it with joy. So we make provisions for that. Now, once in a while, people will come in. People are bound to come in. And then also make provisions for the unexpected. Yeah. Like this situation. Nobody expected it. But somehow, it came to be. So as a woman or as a man, we should be able to make, expansion for such things, the unforeseen circumstances. Yeah. Now it happened, it was the case of the man. Supposing it was the woman, on the part of the woman, that it's the woman's relation that had this issue. Would she have packed out of the home? Would have this hollow balloon, would it have been there? Yeah. So it could be both ways. So we make allowance. Like I said before, whatever we have said before we got married and all that, nothing is cast on a particular stone. There could be shifts here and there, but to an extent. There should be the understanding that, okay, my wife, we have been in this for long. Okay, me on my part, let me be working towards it. Then you on your part, okay, let me endure till whenever my husband is ready, the place is ready for her to go out. There should be these allowances,
Okay, I think if you just go on and go on and go on, but we have to move on. Okay. So I want you to shed more light on the situation of Daniel. What could he have done differently to avert the situation? What better steps could have been taken? Because one thing that struck my life when I saw it was said for a time. When a time is not defined, it can be any time. It can be very long. On a defined time. What could he have done differently in handling the situation?
Okay, I think while the twin sister was still putting up with them, himself, Daniel, alongside some other key members, they could have made efforts in trying to ensure that the marital crisis that Daniela was passing through was resolved.
Yes.
The lady packed out because a woman bewitched her husband. So that means the family was lacking prayer-wise. A prayerless house is a powerless house. If the family is very strong, no woman will be able to bewitch your husband. I think what they should have done was to find a way to resolve and restitute between Daniela and her husband, so that Daniela wouldn't have cause to stay too long in their house, talk less of Joy having to pack out of the house. So the two situations are now isolated. The two circumstances are now isolated situations. And Daniela packed out of her house. She's isolated. She does not have a husband as it stands. Joy packed out of Daniel's house. It's quite unfortunate. I think the best thing that Daniel would have done was to find a way to ensure that the marital crisis his twin sister was passing through was resolved.
Okay, but I'll still stay on that, and I still be on you. There's this thing I notice about men. Most times they want to shoulder responsibilities, like they just naturally want to shoulder it. Maybe it's part of the manly nature in them. But for a man, how do you learn to say no, particularly to family members?
That's a bit technical. Yes, the ability for any individual, not just a man, be it a man or a woman, to say no to some things that you know are going to be inconveniencing and discomforting to you, especially when it has family tie, is what makes you a real man.
Yeah.
It's not every Tom, Dick and Harry that you can say yes to. I personally, I believe so much in planned visits, but in this case, yes, the guy was, he didn't have any choice. He had to accommodate the sister. But a man should be able to say no, especially when you know such situations are not life-threatening.
Okay.
You don't. It's good to render assistance. It's good to give helping hand, but you don't do it at the expense of your family. When your family fails, when your home fails, then you have failed. In hierarchical order, it is God, family, then your work. When I say family, I'm talking of your wife, your husband, and your children. Any other person who comes in is a third party. That is the way I have designed it, and that is the way I operate in my own family. So, for every decision I'm going to take, I first look at how does this impact my family. I love my wife a lot. I don't joke with that woman. I love my children. What impact would this decision take on them? Once I realize it's not going to be comfortable and I do not have an alternative, immediately I say no. That is me. I say no.
Okay, I want to echo something that you said. He said, saying no is not being weak. It's being strong. It's being strong. Okay, I want to move on this. I think, because before the problem got to this extent where she had to leave the house, definitely not for anything at all, because they were twins, there would have been communication line open between the twin, like Daniel and Daniela. How much of family matters should couples discuss? Because sometimes you get cases of, okay, this is my family, and then there's this sharing of the other family. How do we synchronize this? Because it's a major one in the home. How do we synchronize that?
It's a major one, and both parties will have to make sure that whichever one comes in, if for instance I'm the woman in the home, if it's my own that comes in, I should be able to strike a balance in terms of communication, you know, because knowing fully well that couples, we're always jealous of each other, in quotes, whether we like it or not. It's natural.
Unannounced.
Unannounced. Yes.
It's part of love.
Yes. So we have to make sure that in our communications, you know, we move a little to the right, a little to the left, to that of your husband and to your relation. By the time you concentrate on one as against the other, you are causing problem. It could even be even within the family. There are times you as a woman, maybe a baby comes into the home, all your attention and everything is on the baby, A time will come, the man will say, you don't even know whether I'm existing anymore. You know, it's natural. So we must learn how to balance these issues when somebody else comes into the home. You know, I pity this situation. I just imagine the man, Daniel, missed it as at that point. For the fact that he is a twin, you know, that there was that tie between her and the sister to the detriment of the wife.
Right.
So the wife sees that, oh, somebody has actually come to take my place. Apart from being in bed, you understand, the communication and all that has shifted from her to the sister. You know, the bloodline is still flowing, you know, but as people, we should be able to manage these issues. We see them on a daily basis, you know. We must play it a little to the right and a little to the left. Then when we see that problem is emanating, we handle it as quickly as possible. That was what Daniel did not do. I'm sure the talks must have been coming on and on, but he just paid a deaf ear. Oh, after all, it's my sister. Just relax, relax. You don't have to do that. When you are hearing the bells, you attend to them as quickly as possible.
Urgently too.
Yeah.
Okay, time will fail us, but we have to. I must say this: we can't conclude this issue today. We can't. But there's something I must look at before we close today to continue another time on this same topic. I want to look at, there are some families where, to balance this, you are a coach. So let me ask you for a coach point of view. There are families where they've imbibed the method of, if I want to give to my husband, like if the man wants to give to his family, he gives to the wife. And then if the wife wants to give, gives to the husband. What's your take on that?
It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. In fact, in premarital classes, such things are encouraged. And the essence of that is so that both families can see that, oh, my wife, my son's wife actually loves us and gives to us. Ditto the husband to the family of the wife. But such things, it all depends. Understanding is the most important thing.
Okay, I heard that, and I'm going to stop you there. Understanding is the most important thing. And like I said before, we can't continue this. But just for today, for the sake of this session, what's your final word to our viewers at home?
Okay, I would like to say this. Yes, it's not good, it's not advisable to allow interference of third party into marriage. However, we also should be aware of the fact that this is African setting. We can't do away with our family members, be it from the wife's side or from the husband's side.
Okay. Ma, what's your own word for viewers?
Okay. Let's all learn to strike a balance between us and our extended families.
Okay.
To do us a lot of good.
Strike a balance. You can't do it alone. There will be such times. Like I said before, we can't conclude this session, this issue today, right now. We'll continue some other time. So please stay tuned, join us, follow us, and please look out for the continuation of this, because you're going to learn so much more that have not been said. For now, Abigail, your host. Bye for today.